Hi, it's Michelle Austin from the Lead with Impact podcast. We all know that feeling of being alone and isolated in business. It's tough out there, and it's easy to feel like you're the only one struggling while navigating the business world. But the good news is you're not alone. The Lead with Impact podcast is all about learning from others who have been there and done that. We interview inspiring guests who share their stories, trials, and triumphs so that you can learn from their mistakes and map out your path to success. Each week, we'll bring you inspiring stories, valuable insights, and actionable tips from other business people who are leading with impact. So, if you're ready to learn from others and take your business to the next level, subscribe to the Lead with Impact podcast today. I'm excited to welcome Madelein Hendricks on our premiere episode of the Lead with Impact podcast. An award-winning recruitment specialist and headhunter, she is a game changer in connecting talented individuals with great companies. As a content creator, brand ambassador, and influencer, she strives to help businesses through innovative techniques that elevate both their brands and teams. As an acclaimed entrepreneur, Madelein is a businesswoman extraordinaire. She has founded several companies and is a host of South Africa's first recruitment TV show titled The Chair. She was also honored with the Producer Award on Season 4 of Ster Status. Additionally, as an MC and keynote speaker, she guides young professionals to propel their career goals through insightful education programs tailored around bettering employment prospects. Her efforts even extend beyond traditional media. Madelein actively engages her audience via podcasting too. Join us this week to hear more about how this powerhouse is making an impact. You won't want to miss it. I'm very excited and privileged to interview her today. So welcome, Madelein.
Hello. Thank you, Michelle. It's always such a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So I'm going to just jump right in. What is an insult that you've received that you're actually proud of?
So the biggest insult that I heard about myself in the last year is that I am bossy. And then I thought, not bossy, but I am the boss. So call it an insult, but I'm quite proud of that. I think that leading with impact, which is your slogan, I think is what it's all about. Being bossy, being straightforward, and taking up the space.
100%. I think that drives employee engagement is that, you need to have that relationship with your employees where you feel comfortable actually talking to them and having those difficult conversations.
Exactly. And with confidence.
Yes.
I think that's backing up the boss with balls, if I may say. But yeah, just standing firm in what we believe in and driving it forward is always a way where our employees are motivated and staying engaged and staying motivated, knowing that they are also in a position where they can stand tall and be courageous.
Yes.
And be strong and be all of those kind of things that we want to instill within ourselves. So leading by example.
Definitely leading by example. Moving on to the next question. What is one thing that you are deeply grateful for right now?
Sure, with so many things to be grateful for in our lives and where we are right now, I think for me the biggest thing that I'm grateful for is that as an entrepreneur, I still have work.
100%.
I always say that it doesn't matter how much we complain about being busy and being
The load shedding that we're experiencing.
and being overcapacity, and we talk about work-life balance, and we complain about so many elements of our lives. But as an entrepreneur, for me, the one thing that I'm mostly grateful for is that I still have work and that I'm still on demand and that people still pay for my services.
100%.
Carry on doing that. Pay for my services.
So something that we say at work is that we prefer to be busy because then we know we're in demand.
Yes.
Whereas if we're quiet, we have more concerns and more things to be worried about.
Isn't that just her? Yes. So we are grateful to be busy.
100%. So when have you grown the most and what caused that growth?
So I believe that we're always growing. We're constantly growing. Growth is inevitable.
100%.
Change is inevitable. We're always growing. Sometimes we resist growth and that we don't want to always acknowledge that we are growing because growth is hard and it's sore and it's like all of those things. But I must say that 2022 for me was a very big year of growth. I did the growing that I didn't want to do. It was the inner soul growth that I didn't want to acknowledge that had happened. In hindsight, I wish that I could have been more present during the growth of that year. But looking back now, I can really see that that was a tremendous year of growth. It was the first year where COVID, the big C, didn't exist. It was over. I think everybody was so relieved that it was gone. It was over. We all went back to our normal lives. But as an entrepreneur, what did that mean for me? I mean, COVID was a big impact on my business. Now it's just gone. So the big year of growth for me was finding who I was after the tsunami. Yes. I think if I kind of explain it to my husband, I say, it feels like there was the tsunami that came and then it just wiped out everything and now the sun was shining.
Yes.
So now what are you supposed to do now? Okay, the sun's shining. Yay! Like, okay, now what? So I think that was a big year of growth for me, is to have the sun shining again and learning from the waves and what is in for us next. I don't know.
How did you grow? So in what ways and what caused that growth?
I think how I growed the most was adaptability. Having to adapt as an entrepreneur to the changes, to the resources that was no longer there, to the need, the demand that the industry had that nobody knew. So you had to change, you had to adapt, you had to find out what it was that your client needed before they even knew they needed it, but how were you going to be the solution? So being adaptable was a big change for me. I needed to spend a lot of time doing research, having a look at what other people weren't seeing, because if you want to be ahead, you have to be innovative. And we know that in everything, you have to be the solution to the problem. And that is where I grew. And my mind shifted to places where I would have ordinarily not gone, but having to be more open-minded about certain things, about business, about the human psychology, about consumer psychology, about how we are hiring employees, what we're looking for to prevent the disaster. It's the cost of getting it wrong. Having to really look at those elements has made me really grow this year, is understanding the psychology.
Yeah. I think a theme that's coming through for me through doing these podcasts is that the world is changing at an ever increasing pace. It's just, things that are really standing out in the media at the moment are things like ChatGPT and things like AI and the 4-day work week. And I think what I'm starting to realize very quickly is that agility is key. And I've spoken about it previously in some of my other podcasts, is that we need to make sure that our processes are aligned and that we don't overcomplicate things, so that we are able to move as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
And shift and change and keep up with the times, because if you don't, you really are going to become obsolete.
Absolutely. 100%. One of the things that has been the biggest contribution to my success is that I take shortcuts, because everybody is so focused on the long way around, the paperwork, the policy, and yes, I know I'm going to get crucified, but I'm all about how do we get closest to solving the problem? What is the closest route to getting the job done? The paperwork, the policies, all of those kind of other things. Can we do that afterward? Can we make an impact as quick as possible and then do things the other way around?
So something that we've got at work is that our leadership team has the ability to make decisions up until a certain value, and they can make those decisions and then fill in the gaps later.
100%.
So it's again, like you say, I might get crucified as an accountant, as a CA, as a business leader, but sometimes you need your leadership to be able to make those decisions on the fly. And again,
100%.
up until a certain value, but you need to determine what that value is for your specific business or for your specific industry, and be able to shift accordingly.
100%. It's so vital. We are always on the move. We document our lives on the move. We make decisions on the move. Like nothing from today to tomorrow is even guaranteed anymore, and especially in business. And I feel like, as you say, our leaders and our employees should be empowered to be able to make decisions, because we hire people because they add value to our business. That's why we hire them in the first place. Are we empowering them enough to make decisions on our behalf, what is best for the business? And yeah, people are going to make mistakes. I mean, that's inevitable.
But that's how they learn. As long as that it's a philosophy that we
value.
have work is that if you learn from your mistakes, make as many mistakes as you need to. Just don't make the same mistake twice. We can maybe deal with, but 3 times might be pushing it a little bit.
I'm just going to add that my son has got this beautiful little saying, and I wish I can record him saying it, but he doesn't want to. But he says, in life, we can make mistakes, but do you know that from mistakes, maybe something beautiful can happen?
Oh, that's stunning.
And I love it so much. I think it's the most amazing little saying, because what is the most beautiful things that happen from mistakes? But we are so scared of just trying. Well, we don't even get to make a mistake. We're scared of trying to even make a mistake in the first place. So.
But it's a completely different topic, but maybe it's something that we need to delve into now, is what I found in my personal life is that I have grown the most through facing my fears. And it's something that one of my mentors and my coaches from a few years ago really mentioned to me, is that his theory was growth lies through fear. You need to take those fears head on, and that is where your personal development lies.
100%. So I have a saying that I say to many of the girls that I work with during Ster Status in this journey, is that you have to do it scared, because our brains and our lights and our little fires inside of us, like those are the things that we do when we're doing it in impulse, are the things that mean something. When we walk away from that excitement, so if you think about it, you have an idea. This is such a great idea. You get so built up, and inside of you, the fire is flaming, and you're like, yes, like we have to do this. If you don't act now and you leave it, that fire dies, because life happens, other things happen, other things, mostly reality kicks in, and we think, oh, it's not going to happen. But you'll also find that times during the year or your life comes by, and that same thing will come up within you all the time. And you're like, oh.
100%. That's also something that my mentor used to mention to me, is that things that you don't deal with will keep repeating themselves until you have learned the lesson that you need to learn.
Isn't it? Hey, I believe in that 125%, that we have a purpose and we are sent here with a purpose. And those feelings that we feel within inside of ourselves is why we are here. And it's supposed to be scary.
And what I've also found is that achieving those little things that scare you, it almost gives your brain a little shot of dopamine, and it actually becomes addictive.
I know, right? Gives you that little bits of confidence.
Yes.
But then isn't that what going after the big dream is all about? So when we look at what our big picture goal is, we all are working towards something. And it looks different for many different people. I mean, we hear talking about things within finance and business and entrepreneurship, but the mom that is trying to save for a vacation at the beach, and the person that is trying to lose weight, and the one that's trying to get fit. I mean, it's so different, but our big picture goals all come down to one thing, and those are the little successes, because they give us confidence.
Yeah, 100%.
And those little confidence, if I can do the small things, then I can go after the big thing. But the big problem, I believe, that we have is that we stop appreciating or celebrating the small wins that we have. They just kind of fall to the wayside. Like, okay, maybe we lost the 10 kilos. It's not a big celebratory anymore. And I believe the big reason why is because we're not writing them down anymore. We're not writing down the goals. And yeah, it's not a goals workshop, I know. But
it's important. It really is. It's how that growth comes. Because if you don't write it down, and I mean, I could spend hours talking about this. I really could. But goal planning is something that, if I'm honest, 15 years ago when I was at school, 20 years ago when I was at school, I used to think it was a bunch of hogwash. If I'm perfectly honest.
Yeah, me too.
And about 5-6 years ago, we delved into it deeply at work. And it is how I have literally changed my life. And it comes down to, like you say, that big goal, that big vision. Reminding yourself of that big vision every single day, multiple times. So it comes down to visualizing it. It comes down to affirmations. I am worthy. It's a massive one of mine. I am worthy of this. And then, like you say, taking that big goal and writing it down and writing down the steps that you need to achieve in order to get to that big goal. And you need to look at that at least once a day, because if you do, I promise you the combination of writing it down, little steps, visualizing it, and the affirmations are literally life-changing. Literally.
I do believe that too.
Yeah.
It really is life-changing. And I know that there are a lot of people out there, and me too. I mean, I question, what am I doing? And like on a daily basis, because life is getting so busy, and we look at our big picture goals and just go like, a vacation at the beach is just not realistic. It's going to cost so much money to go to the beach, but I've got this many bills to pay that I'm behind, or there's stationery, or my kid wants a laptop, or that big goal about going to the beach falls at the hindsight. Reminding ourselves all the time about, why do we want to go to the beach? What are we going to achieve by there? What are we going to feel? What is inside of us that is dragging us to the beach in the first place? Is it family time? Is it togetherness? Is it our sand in the feet? Trying to find the worth of the goal and reminding ourselves about that all the time. So if your goal is going to the beach, you better have pictures of your feet in the sand as your screensaver on your phone, and just trying to not convince yourself, because we do a lot of times, we convince ourselves that that's a terrible idea. Trying to stop convincing ourselves that that's a terrible idea is a good place to start.
But that brings up something completely different, is that you need to also try and set goals in various areas of your life. So not just all being work-based, or not just all being financial-based. It needs to encompass everything from spirituality all the way to family time, to knowledge, to, you really need to look at that wheel of life and assess what is important.
100%.
And those things change over time. They're not static. So right now you might be experiencing a really busy time at work, and that's okay. But then one of your other goals maybe needs to be that after this busy time, so say for instance it's a month or 2 months, then we need a gap to fill our cup. And if that how you fill that cup is physical, whether it be sports, golf, rugby,
margaritas,
whatever it looks like, whether that be the time at the beach, then that so the initial period will be, the 2 months will be a work-centered goal, and then going forward, so for the next 2 weeks, it will be I need to get to the beach so that I can fill my cup, so that I can spend time with my family, being present in the moment. There's times and there's phases of life where things are more important, and I think it's just about planning that properly, and by putting pen to paper, it really does crystallize your thoughts.
So, Michelle, you make such a really, really good statement here when it comes to the areas within our lives, because I know for a fact that there are people that are going to come across this podcast today that has got no idea what you just said about filling your cup, which is one of the most valuable things that I advocate for, is that you as a person are important too.
100%.
Women, men don't really know what that means to have a balanced life. So somebody's going to come across this because they are going to find within a financial element or a business element, they're going to find this podcast. And today, we, as a matter of fact, are talking about the other elements of our lives. So how are we going to give these listeners and viewers a bigger picture about the wheel of life? Because I do the wheel of life. I believe that there are the 8 elements, and I have a template. Maybe we can load up a template.
That's a great idea.
Where they can have a look at what are these different 8 elements that we are talking about. What can they do to make their wheel
round and not
crooked?
100%.
Okay, so there we go, a template. I'm going to share a template with you, and I'd like you to upload it for the people out there who doesn't know where to start, because it's overwhelming. I mean, like, we got to the beginning of the year and we were like, what are your goals? What do you want to do? I spent 2 years not actually knowing, after I picked myself up from the floor, what is next for me. So it's hard to write down what is your goals. What do you want for your life?
That is the point. Is that through that process of actually writing it down, if you just put something on paper that says, I want to lose 10 kilos. Okay. That seems like a mountain, a massive mountain to climb.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've done that. I've got that t-shirt.
Yeah.
The only way to achieve it is by writing it down and sitting and going, what are the baby steps? And literally by putting that pen to paper, your brain works through it in ways that you don't understand. It is, and it's also the subconscious. Like, I believe very strongly in the power of the subconscious.
Yes.
I plan my day the day in advance, the night before, and just sleeping on it, your brain has time to process it.
Yeah, and prepare.
Exactly. So the next day you are the most productive that you possibly can be, because you've allowed your brain to think through it in advance.
Yes.
So
I quite like that, actually. I think I'm going to give that a try.
It's unbelievable.
All in the planning, I guess.
100%. Okay, let's get back on track, because we've taken a bit of a side route. What have you learnt about yourself recently?
So I have done a lot of self over the last year specifically. I was very privileged to be a part of a woman empowering platform, TV show, environment where there was a lot of women developing within themselves. I mean, that's what the platform was about. It was about self-growth and self-development. And I spent 10 months in this competition. It was a reality competition show. And I very quickly realized that I don't know how to lose in life, because I've won at everything. I'm a winner. Yeah. That's what I do. I win the client. I win the pitch. I win the award. That's what I do. I'm a winner. And I didn't win the competition.
But you did place.
I did place, and but I didn't win. And I needed to... So on the stage, in the moment, I won an award, which, I mean, it's a phenomenal award. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it was created just for me. It was a great award. But at the time when I received that award, it felt like a plaster. It felt like a, okay, you didn't win, but let's give her something at least,
like a booby prize.
Yeah, like the little kid that came fourth that didn't get anything.
Just get a certificate of achievement.
Yes, that's what it felt like. That's 100% correct. It felt like a certificate of achievement. And I didn't win, and I needed to learn what it felt like to not win. Because in that not winning, I learned so much more about things and life, and that maybe I wasn't there to win. Maybe I was there
100%.
to learn more things about the industry and more things about during the not winning. And where I am today, I realized that maybe actually I needed to career shift. I needed to change the direction towards something that I loved and not necessarily what I was good at. And that's what I learned this year, is that I lost at something, but I learned and gained and won at something else. And for us as humans, when we lose, we hurt. And when we hurt, we shut down. And then we don't finish the process of the lesson. And then if we don't learn the full lesson, we can't move forward in life. So a lot of people are walking around going that I got hurt by that, I'm not going back, I don't want to do it. Don't talk to me.
But it's coming back to that fear of failure, that fear. 100%. You need to work through that fear, because once you work through that fear, that is where the personal growth comes from.
100%. Because there's a lot of growth that happens in failure. I mean, now I can make comments such as failing forward and
100%.
What is being learned from failure. But if you had asked me this question post-COVID or during COVID or when we were settling, the sun was shining, I mean, what I can tell you about failure during that time, because my whole business failed, my whole life failed, everything failed. I mean, like, I was in recruitment, for heaven's sake. Nobody hired anybody. Everybody was losing their jobs.
And even now, it's
nobody hires.
The state of South Africa at the moment is such
load
that
shedding.
Exactly.
There's no
potential recession on the cards,
Yeah.
People are cutting back costs as much as they can because of the inflation, because of the interest rate.
It is insane.
But what I've also learned is that there's opportunities where things seem the hardest and the toughest. That's where you need to look for the opportunities, because there really are hidden gems hiding.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, I failed with my business, which was a soaring, award-winning business. I mean, I was at the high of my career, of my life. I loved what I did, and I failed, but it wasn't at my account. Like, it wasn't my fault.
No, and that's
we
the
didn't
hardest.
fail because I wasn't good enough, because I didn't put in what it takes. We failed for something that was out of our control. And there are so many business owners that are sitting out there who got robbed or failed from something that wasn't their fault. And is there a support group that we can join? Because, everywhere we want to talk about it, and everybody's saying, like, don't talk about COVID. Like, COVID's negative. COVID's, like, bad. Like, we don't talk about it. Like, we're over it. The sun's shining. There's so much hurt inside of us about losing everything that we had about something that wasn't our fault.
I agree completely. And I think that is the hardest for a lot of people. I know for me, control is a massive issue. So the second that something is out of my control, that's when I spiral.
Yeah.
But I also want to say that is also where growth lies. Because remember, we spoke a little bit earlier about making sure you're learning the lessons. Because otherwise they're going to repeat themselves in a different form.
100%.
It's going to repeat itself. So
100%.
make sure that you're learning those lessons. And the sooner you learn those lessons,
Yeah.
the better. Because
100%.
once it starts repeating itself, there's a theme. Don't make those mistakes.
Is like, it's about getting up and trying different things and looking at what are your strengths, because your strengths might be in a niche. For me, it was recruitment. That was my niche, and that's what my business was on. But I quickly realized that my strength and my success isn't recruitment. My strength and my success is me. What do I have that I can apply into something else to be successful? Is that leadership? In my perspective, it was creativity, but for you, it might be financial. So it's about finding what your superpower is and applying that again to something else that you can rebuild again.
Yes, it also comes back to that entrepreneurial ability. It's that being able to pick up the pieces if things don't work and start something else. Figure
Being
it out.
resilient, being agile, and just trying again. And you might try many different things in between, failing at them until you get to the one lucky break. But if you were sent here with a purpose to be an entrepreneur, that's who we are. We're entrepreneurial. We have to find different ways. But at the same time, I don't want to diss what humans went through
I agree.
in the loss, in the failure, in that period that I'm not saying just rub it off and carry on. I'm saying that I sympathize with you and what you have lost, but I believe in you and that you have got what it takes to rebuild something again.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
I think you're touching on another issue that I wasn't planning on delving into, but it really is important. So another massive theme that has come through the last 2-3 years is mental health, and it comes back to that wheel of life and making sure that things are balanced. It comes down to acknowledging what we have been through, what we've learned through it, and what we're going to do differently going forward to make sure that we don't make the same mistakes again. Okay, so what is one thing that you would like to change about yourself in the next year?
In this year, what I would like to change about myself is to practice what I preach. I spend a lot of time telling, inspiring, and motivating businesses and women specifically out there about how they can elevate themselves, their brand, their voice on the platforms that are available to us. But I rarely do those things for myself. So this year I want to practice more of what I preach.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think something that I'm coming back to, based on what we discussed earlier about filling your own cup, is that something that it's been a hard lesson for me to learn over the last few years, is because I used to give. And over the last, I'd say 3-4 years, I've really had to learn that lesson that you have to give to yourself first in order to be able to give to other people. And if you don't, it will come and bite you at some point.
No, 100%. So that lesson I learned the year before last. And I'm very selfish when it comes to filling my cup. And it's so important. It's really, really important to do things for you. And if you're not going to be selfish, nobody's going to be selfish for you. It doesn't matter how many friends or people you have in your network. Nobody's going to say, hey, Michelle, do you feel like doing something for yourself and your mental health and something that makes you happy? No, nobody's going to do that for you. So that absolutely 100% is your responsibility, because you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yep. 100%. I've learned that actually from my children, is that I am not the best mom that I can be unless I give myself time. And whether that be a 5-minute meditation, or whether that be a glass of wine with a friend, or whatever that sometimes, it sounds crazy, but sometimes when I get home, I just sit in the car for 10 minutes, check my social media, check my email, just that 10 minutes to myself, to take a breath, and to actually, because if I don't, by the time I look at my kids, then it's homework and it's projects and it's bath time and dinner time and study time for me or study time for them or whatever. So really, really important piece of advice for other women is make sure that you are spending that time. Schedule it in your diary, because honestly, if you don't, it's never gonna get done.
And be selfish. Be selfish about it. If filling your cup means going to the gym in the morning, but you're scared to ask your husband to look after the kids so that you can go, so you don't rather do it, dang that. Honestly, you have to be selfish about it. And I believe that if you don't ask, the answer will always be no.
100%. I advocated to all of my teams, is that one of the big things, that I hope that they learn from me, is if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yes, isn't that? If you don't ask, you don't get. So filling your own cup is super important. And it looks, like you say, it looks different to all of us. It looks different. And I think there might be people that look at or listen to this podcast and be, but what does that mean? Filling your own cup. What does that look like for me? I mean,
It's something that I've realized is it's what energizes you, not what drains you.
I love that.
So for me, I can spend a day in the bush and I feel like a different person.
Yeah.
You know, I just need that quiet time, no phone, nature around me.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the same from the beach, and not everybody's like that. I don't get the same from the mountains. I get the same from the bush and from the beach.
Yeah.
I don't like the sand. I don't like the water.
You're so right. Like, it looks different for different people. And if you don't know what it looks like for you, because when I heard the statement, fill your cup, I was, what does that mean? Like, I'm a mom and my kids make me happy and they fill my cup. Like, spending time with my kids, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, my family. Like, that's the things that make me happy. And I don't want to be out in a bar drinking. What does fill my cup look like for me? And it's hard. Friend, it's hard. Like,
But you need to experiment. It's the only way you're going to find it.
100%. It's going back to things that you used to enjoy. Did you enjoy as a teenager to perhaps paint? Then go to a paint night.
But it might be something completely different. I mean, for me, for instance, I used to hate art at school. You know, and I also used to, you know, I mean, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, even maybe 10, I never used to go have my nails done. I never used to have my lashes done. I never used to go for a wax.
Yeah, you see.
But I've learned with that experience, and my friends have exposed me to those things, is that you just need to be open to different things and trying
100%.
different things. And eventually you're going to find what you love.
100%. And those are the things that fills your cup, ladies.
Yes.
Like, it's those kind of things. It's not a luxury holiday to Bali on a retreat.
I mean, that's going to energize and fill anybody.
Exactly.
Let's be honestly.
100%.
But it's small things. It doesn't need to be this elaborate, extravagant holiday. It can literally be,
Small
I am
little
taking
things.
half an hour out of my time to go and have a mini facial. Or I'm taking half an hour, like you said, in the morning to go to the gym.
100%.
I mean, that what makes me energized. I mean, you might enjoy that half an hour in the morning in the gym. I don't.
Yes, because we're all different.
But give me an hour on the golf course and we have a different story.
Well, there we go.
So-
You see, it's different for everybody.
Yeah, so-
And those non-active people, if it means watching a series on Netflix
Yep.
without interruption,
That's how the decompress.
that's fine.
Yep.
You don't have to feel guilty because you're watching TV during the day. That's what fills your cup. That's
Yep.
what you need to be sane,
I mean,
functional, sane people.
I'm just going to throw some ideas out there. It could be cooking. Some people enjoy cleaning. It could be cleaning. It could be, some people enjoy mowing the grass. It could be anything. And it doesn't need
anything.
to, don't let people judge you for what fills your cup.
No. Unapologetic. Stop apologizing for the things that makes us happy.
Yes, 100%.
Stop
100.
apologizing.
Love that. Okay. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be and why?
I think that if there was one thing that I would like to be remembered for, it would be the extra mile. I go the extra mile. I believe that in work and in life, people remember everybody by the 100%. But to stand out in life, you need to give the 110%. So when it comes to work and friendships and relationships that I build, I go the extra mile. I don't have a lot of friends and I don't have a lot of relationships, but the relationships that I do have will remember me for the person that has gone the extra mile.
Yes.
The people who I don't have relationships with will remember me for something completely different. So I'm very black and white when it comes to that. It has to be the going the extra mile, the being there, the investment that you make in that person. I believe I'm so fortunate, Michelle, that I have got incredible friendships and amazing relationships with friends that I have built over the last only 5 years of my life, but very fortunate to have them. And I feel sad that there are women out there that hasn't built any long-term or long life relationships or have friendships with other women. You look at them and they have got their relationship with their husband and they think that that is the be all and end all of life.
Yeah.
But it's not. The relationships that you build with other women and the friendships that you have is what is life. That is everything. That is the most valuable relationship. And I'm sorry to my husband who might be watching this, if not, but I value the friendships that I have over and above the relationship that I have with my husband, not because I'm burning my bra as a woman empowerment, but it's what you put in is what you're going to get out. So I find that what I put into relationships with my friends and what they put into the relationship trumps what the norm of a husband relationship puts in. Because if you're not putting anything in, how can you expect to get anything out?
Yeah.
So I really want to say to women out there that your husband or your marriage or your relationship, which we get sucked in and believed as children, is the most important relationship. It isn't. Whatever you put in and what you get out in return is the most important relationship. And that might look different to other people. And don't regret going through your entire life not building relationships with women who are there to build you up and who are there to empower you. So putting in that extra mile, you're going to get it out.
Yeah.
In anything in life, not just friendships, in any
Yes.
relationship. What you put in is what you're going to get out.
Yeah.
If you have a great relationship with your husband, yes, then absolutely let that be. But don't let that relationship be the number one because it said it should be. That's all I'm saying. Is let it be what you put in is what you're going to get out. Yeah.
Okay. What important lesson do you want your kids to learn?
Sure. Okay. Well, I'm going to definitely carry on with the theme of relationships. I think that my kids need to learn that what you put in is what you're going to get out. And that's in everything. In schoolwork, in friendships. My daughter is quite influential at school and she's got strong leadership potential. And my message to her on the daily is that what you put in is what you're going to get out. What are you leading? Are you leading positively or are you leading negatively? Because if you lead positive, you're going to get positivity. If you lead negative, you're going to get negativity.
Yeah.
So what you put out there is what you're going to get back.
Yeah.
And I want that theme to carry on across everything that they do in life. Work, hard work, schoolwork, sport, if you
Friendships.
practice, friendship,
Studying.
everything. What you put in, and there's a quote in the Bible, and I don't like to quote the Bible often because I don't know, but it says something about what you give, you will get back threefold. And that's the same with effort. It's the same with everything that we do. What you put in is what you're going to get out.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to teach my children, is that what you give is what you're going to get.
Yeah. It's a great life lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and giving 110% is it's never a bad lesson for them to learn. I think they need to be careful that they're not taken advantage of. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. That was a massive lesson that I learned from my parents.
Yeah.
Was, if you just give, you're not gonna.
People will take.
Exactly. So you just need to be almost aware of that. Keep it at the back of your mind, but don't let it stop you from giving 100 or 110%.
Yeah. And if you're going to excel at something, if you're good at something, if you're doing good in math and you want to do good in math in class, and if you're the teacher's pet and you're the smartest in the class, don't care what other people think. What?
Yeah, I think that is.
So what?
I think that's also a massive life lesson that I'm also just only starting to learn.
Yeah.
Is that the only person's opinion that matters of you is you.
100%. Well, there's another saying that says, other people's opinion about you is none of your business. Who cares?
Exactly.
If we had to go around wondering what people are going to think about us, who would we be? Like, we would totally deplete our fire, our souls, because life is so negative, and we are struggling to hold on to the positive about ourselves as it is. It's hard enough as it is. So if we're going to worry about what one other person is going to think compared to the positivity that we spread or the inspiration that we spread at the expense of one person, how does it make any sense?
Yeah. Yep.
It makes no sense. So, person who doesn't like me, I know who you are, and I share love. Only love. Because not everybody is going to like us. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Let me tell you, I learned that through this competition where we were 300 women. And not everybody likes me. There are people that if you had to put a poll out on that platform, you are most absolutely definitely going to get people that say that I'm not for them. And that's fine. But the people who I am for is going to tell you a complete different story, because I am not there to spread equally. I'm there to make an impact or nothing at all. And if I didn't make an impact on your life, maybe in my next life when I get reincarnated I will. But for the ones that did take, I made a massive impact. It was great. Those people will toy and tell you all about it. And then there are people that will be telling you how terrible I am. And that's it. You can't be everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah, and you can't be everything to everybody.
No, you cannot absolutely be everything to everybody.
I'm going to digress a little bit because I think it's something that's really important to talk about. And that is maintaining your true north. So what is it that you stand for? What are your values? What is important to you? And I think that in terms of the goals and stuff, I think it's actually even more important than that, is to figure out what is your purpose? What impact do you want to have on the world? And once you figure out that and what your values are, then everything kind of fits into place. Because if you know that, you're not going to care about what so-and-so thinks. Their opinion is going to matter to them and them only. You know what you stand for, and if what you do, if your actions tie into that, then there is no reason why you need to care about what they think.
Yeah. This is a great question. And it's debatable across different platforms and religions and advocacies around the world. But I have a very clear understanding in my mind and in my heart about that specific question. So I believe that we are all sent here with a purpose. But I also believe that in many lifetimes, we move towards that purpose. Okay, you might cut out many of these things, but I'm going to say it as it is. So I believe that you will come across people in your life who you look at them and go like, what the hell is wrong with you? You've got no purpose in life. They are jolling. They are aimlessly not looking after their offspring. They are drinking their lives away. Whatever you look at them going like, what is wrong with you? You're behaving like a child. Those are young souls. Then you get young people who are absolutely 100% on the right track. They are driven. They are like, this is what it is. This is what I am here to do. This is what I'm going to work towards. And then you get people in the middle that are sort of like not jolling, but they're kind of like not really knowing where they're going in life. So I believe in the bigger picture of universal, that you get the people that are old souls, and you get the people that are young souls, and you get the middle souls in life. I know for a fact in my soul, well, a fact for my own fact, not a historical fact, but a fact in my own fact, I know that this is my soul's last life. I know what I am here to do. I know what my purpose is. And my purpose is to help people to understand that they are influential. They can absolutely 100% do what it is that they are sent here to do. They know what job they have to do. They know what they need to do. But we are so influenced about media and religion and this and load shedding and all of these excuses. But if they look within inside of them, they know. They know what their purpose is. They know what their purpose is for their families. They know what their purpose is for themselves, if they are single or young or whatever. You know. Where do you know here? It's inside of you. You know.
You just got to figure that out.
You just have to figure it out. You have to explore it, but you have to believe 100% that you are here for a purpose. So I know that my purpose is to help people, and women specifically. And I'm not shy to say that I empower women and that I'm here to empower women, because I'm a mom of a daughter, but I'm also a mom of a son. But I'm not putting that men are not empowered one side. But what I'm looking at in my life right now is that my daughter needs to know that she's enough. And that she needs to know that she has what it takes to fulfill her dreams. When there's quite a big age gap. And I think that my purpose and my guides and my spirituality will lead me to my voice when it's his turn. But right now it's her turn. And right now she needs me to lead by example. So right now my goal is for my child to see that I work hard. I advocate for her to have a better future. For her to have a voice. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And yes, I know we're all talking about women having voices. I get it. But if you realize how many women out there don't have voices, it's shocking.
It's scary.
It's shocking, my friend. It's shocking, When I looked at the women that competed in this year of competition, we were 300 women, and many of the women that got there were broken. They were broken. They were abused. They were broken. If I have to tell you that 9 out of 10 women that were there were sexually abused, you would fall off your chair.
I mean, that raises a completely different issue that is completely for a different day, but it is something that's a reality.
It's the reality. So if I have to look at what my value and my purpose is, it is to be an advocate for what my soul purpose is at the time. Right now, it's to advocate for women. I'm a mom of a daughter. That's what I want to advocate for. If in 3 or 4 years down the line, it shifts towards men's rights, yes, because men also have rights. Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they don't. But I believe that everybody has a right. And I debate about this all the time, because I believe that the LGBTQ community has got it harder than any woman or any man
100%
have got. Yeah. And people are like wanting to throw their hands up in the air. But can you imagine what it must be like to be a gay man in this country?
Yeah.
Or in this world?
In this world.
In this world. It must be one of the hardest things. And what I can teach people or advocate for is kindness.
Yep.
Just be kind.
And I mean, just again, digressing a little bit, is that I have a huge amount of respect for people that are going through that, because they have that purpose and they know what their values are and they're fighting for that.
Yeah.
That is what they believe in.
Can't we learn from that?
Exactly.
They fight so hard for what it is who they are.
Exactly.
But yet we're not.
Yes. So I think you're right. I think it's a massive lesson that we need to learn as women from other cultures, from other perspectives, from other people, is, we need to learn these lessons. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go in a completely different direction. What do you do, or where do you go to self-educate?
Okay, so I believe that learning is something that you can't take away. Nobody can take it away from you. And I talk about this in my workshops all the time, is that I learn a new skill every Sunday. Sunday is my skills development day. I learn a new skill every Sunday. it is everything and anything in between what interests me in my career, but also personally. Like, is it a recipe? Is it trying a new way to cook potatoes? Or is it a new way of editing a video? Is it a new way of networking? There's always something to learn. And although I might not have an MBA, YouTube is for free. Mahala.
Agree.
You can literally put in, how do I do this? And watch a 5 to 7 minutes video about how to do it. So YouTube is a very big source of learning for me. I like to do things for free. I also like to tell businesses that I advocate for and teach and train how they can do things for free. YouTube is your way to go. Absolutely. Every Sunday, write down, what do I want to learn this week? There's one thing I can do this week. What is it going to be? And YouTube it.
Yep. YouTube, Google, massive thing. So I'm going to share a little bit about myself. Is that by the time I had finished it took me a little bit longer, my 8-year chartered accountant journey, the last thing that I wanted to do was learn.
Oh, yeah, jeez.
I was so sick of studying. And I mean, yes, you learn indirectly through things that you're doing.
Yeah.
But something that I've realized over the last 2 years, 18 months or so, is that it comes back to something we discussed a bit earlier about that make sure you're keeping up with the world, the pace of the world, is that things are just changing so fast. And if you don't embrace that constant learning, you really are going to get left behind. And I mean, I sometimes feel really stupid with my 9-year-old who goes, Mommy, how do you not know? I mean, he showed me how to do a freaking reel on TikTok the other day. And I know it's not called a reel, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
It's if I can't figure something out, I'm learning more and more that I can actually self-educate. Well, not self-educate. I can educate from my kids. My kids are learning things that I couldn't even
we can learn
dream.
so much from them. And also, like, on that point with our kids teaching us, is that if we are going to take insult and not embrace it, our kids are going to get so far ahead from us that in a dangerous world that we live in, how are we going to know if they are in danger? As mothers, as parents, our instinct is to protect. We know how to protect now face to face. I can put the seatbelt on. When we go to the shop, you must hold my hand. We know how to do that kind of protection. But online protection is something completely different. Yeah. And what frustrates me to death, and this is probably something that I want to speak more about, is that when parents don't know how to, they run. So what they do is they take away. My child's not going to be on a phone. They're not allowed on TikTok. They're not allowed to have a phone. They're not allowed to be on TV after this, what. But what you're doing is it's as good as the parent who doesn't let their kids go away on dances, and the minute they're 18, they live in clubs. And are we not doing exactly the same thing? So instead of taking away because we are scared, can we not give and learn alongside them? Isn't it an amazing opportunity to have a relationship with your child, to say, hey buddy, come and teach me TikTok. Let's do TikTok together. Like, mom's lame. Help me.
Yeah.
Let me learn from you for a difference. Isn't that a way of building a relationship other than saying you're not having it? And it's a hard thing for us grown-ups to do, because we always feel that we are right and they are wrong, because that's how we were taught. But can't we say, what can I learn from you and what can you learn from me? Can you imagine if you had to sit around the table with your child and they want to record something on TikTok and you can add some value to make it better?
Yeah. Add value to each other's worlds.
Add value to each other's worlds. I love that. Instead of taking away because we're scared, can we not embrace? And how do we embrace? We educate ourselves. What does it take? Go onto bloody YouTube.
Yep.
Watch a YouTube video. There are parents out there advocating for the same thing. Watch a YouTube video about what they have to say to empower you. Take that information, but don't just take away because it makes you scared, because it's out of your comfort zone, because all you do for a day job is answer phones and you don't know how TikTok works. So now your child, and you've read and heard that it's dangerous. Statistics show that the biggest users on TikTok, and when I say the biggest, I mean by 50%, is children from the ages 9 to 16. Those are our people right now.
Yeah.
Those are our little people, 9 to 16.
And I mean, that's how they're learning. I mean, yes, obviously you need to be careful about what they're learning.
Yeah.
And whether it's a little bit age appropriate. Well, I mean, it comes back to that leadership that we were discussing earlier leadership principles are not only applicable at work. They're applicable in friendships, they're applicable at home, etc. They're applicable in every aspect of people's lives.
Absolutely.
Madeleine, if you had the attention of the whole world for 5 minutes, what would you say?
Okay, I love this question. If I had the attention for the world in 5 minutes, the one thing that I would say is that we are all influencers. In a world where we are so connected with users generating content and users using things and being influenced by people telling us how to use products or suggesting products on social media, I really want the world to know that you are an influencer with everything that you do. So what I could say is that we are all influencers. We influence the world with things that we buy. We influence the world with things that we use. Even if it's not on social media, we still speak about things. We talk to our friends. We influence. And how are we influencing? How are we influencing our children? How are we influencing our peers? How are we influencing our employees? The way that we talk about an experience we had on our way to work, when we bought our coffee, when we put in fuel, when we are influencers.
Yeah.
And if that experience was good or bad, it doesn't matter. We're still influencing the person that we are speaking to. So I really want us to, as a generation, to realize that we are influencing. If somebody did good, emphasize it. If somebody did bad, emphasize it. Because we, as consumers especially, we are parting with monies that we are earned, that we have worked hard for. If you're not going to talk about your experience, how are you going to protect me from parting with a bad sale? But if I'm in between a purchase, if you're not talking about how you've had a great experience with the product or the service of that place, how am I going to know? So influence me. We are influencers. Influence.
100%. So something that I've also realized recently is that awards mean a big deal, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to win it. Just being nominated is a huge privilege.
Absolutely.
And you know, for example, if you stand in front of, I'm going to use wine as an example. If you're standing in front of a shelf of wine and you don't really drink that much wine, and or maybe you do actually, you're standing in front of the shelf with 50 different choices of wine. What are you going to choose? You're more than likely going to choose the one that has that sticker on it that says Johnny Platter Award winner.
Yeah, you are.
So it's not just about reviews anymore. And yes, reviews are important. People look at reviews, but they also look at awards.
Yeah.
So, you know, put your best foot forward. Yes. You know, take that chance and
be recognized.
Exactly. Yeah. It impacts and influences your customers' decisions, probably towards you as opposed to away from you.
No, 100%. 100%.
So yeah, 100% you are an influencer. Use it to your advantage.
100%. Influence.
Yes.
You are an influencer?
Yes.
Influence.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Even if you might feel like if you feel like you're a Karen, who cares? Like, your voice is important too. It doesn't matter.
Somebody's going to be looking online somewhere, and they're going
100%.
to, if they find your inputs and your voice,
100%.
it can influence them in a positive or a negative way.
Yeah.
You know, they may leave a review themselves. Yeah, so I think it's important.
100%. Influence.
Okay, perfect. We're coming to the end. Where can our listeners find out more about you? Where can they learn more?
Okay, so yes, I am on social media. My brand is Madness. It comes from my name, Mad, or Madeleine being Mads, being mad, being a little bit crazy. And then I was just like, what is this? This is all just madness. And madness has become who I am. So I would love and appreciate the online support. So you can find me on Instagram at Madeleine_madness. Digital site, it's madness.co.za. And if you're looking for a job or recruitment, it's madnesspeople.co.za. Online, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Be sure to follow.
Definitely. So, Madeleine, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been an amazing, insightful, learning conversation, and we really appreciate your time.
It was so lovely. Thank you for having me, and may the learning continue.
Definitely. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank our esteemed guest, Madeleine, for joining us today, providing us with valuable advice and stirring narratives that will help shape how we approach challenges in the future. Her insights were truly impactful, a great source of motivation. You can find the Lead with Impact podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you enjoy the show, please leave us a review. It helps us reach more listeners like you. Also, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the great content and advice we have coming up. Thank you for tuning into the Lead with Impact podcast. Join us each week to hear inspiring stories from entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders who are making an impact in the business world. From valuable tips to actionable insights, our guests have the experience and knowledge to help you take your business up a level. We'll discuss everything from marketing strategies to financial management and more so that you can stay ahead of the game and lead confidently. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, lead with impact.